Welcome to the book of Daniel, chapter 6. Daniel in the lion's den, one of the famous stories of the entire Bible. And it is, of course, a great object lesson for several key things. But what is the background? Well, as we learned, Belshazzar was dethroned. In fact, he was slain, and the Medo-Persian Empire came in its place. Now, Daniel, of course, was very much affiliated with the outgoing empire. But because of his knowledge, skill, wisdom, understanding, and commendable experience, he was retained by the incoming empire, Medo-Persia. And in fact, he was given a very prominent place. We read in chapter 6 that he was one of the three key men in the entire kingdom. But here's an interesting verse in chapter 6, number 3. It's a verse I know well. This Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princesses because an excellent spirit was in him, and the kings sought to set him over the whole realm. Daniel was already a big shot in the incoming empire, and the king wanted to make him practically the prime minister of the whole realm. And the reason is because he had an excellent spirit. What does it mean to have an excellent spirit? Let me give you three things to consider. First, an excellent spirit naturally means you have a good attitude. I like what Bob Gass said on the question of attitude. First of all, that circumstances will not hold you back, but your attitude will. The other thing Gass would say on this subject is a bad attitude is like a flat tire. Until you change it, you aren't going anywhere. Food for thought. Second thing is that a person of an excellent spirit has understanding. Proverbs 17:27, excellent spirit is a man of understanding, and vice versa. By the way, it's one thing to be knowledgeable, but it's another thing to have understanding of the knowledge you have. Understanding ultimately comes from God. So walk with God, seek God, and you'll have understanding. And then finally, gratitude is part of an excellent spirit. 1 Thessalonians 5:18, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Most people are not grateful. Grateful people who have understanding, good attitude, they have an excellent spirit, and like cream, they will rise to the top. Well, that is Daniel, and he rose to the top, and his colleagues were so jealous of him that they decided to plot against him by getting the king to sign an irreversible Medo-Persian decree. Remember the law of the Medes and Persians? Once it is signed and sealed, even the king himself cannot reverse it. So the king here is going to do a foolish decision in Daniel 6, just like Esther's husband, the king of Persia, Ahasuerus or Xerxes. He made a foolish decision too and signed something, a decree of Haman that he should never have signed. The penalty for praying to any other god except the king for 30 days was to go into the lion's den. Daniel knew he was being set up, but also he lived a life of godly conviction that had done him in good stead, and he wasn't changing now. So he opens the windows, prays towards Jerusalem 3 times a day, as he always did, and that gave his enemies the excuse to accuse him, and reluctantly the king had to toss him into the lion's den. As it turned out, he was spared and came out untouched. The king was so excited that he put Daniel's accusers in the den instead, and they were crushed at the first instance. Friends, what do we learn from this? We must live by conviction, something I've already highlighted in earlier lessons. We must keep our integrity. The integrity of the upright shall guide them. That's Proverbs 11, verse 3. We also need to learn that there are reasons why some people get delivered, like Daniel, and sometimes righteous people are not delivered. Either way, It's for the glory of God, and nobody who follows him will ever be put to shame. This is Daniel chapter 6 in the lion's den.